U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says he believes the country is ramping up aggressive behavior with the goal of extracting concessions. This is as Biden signals he wants back in the multinational nuclear deal. Secretary Pompeo spoke earlier today with David Rubenstein, that's Carlyle Group co-chairman and co-founder, and also host of peer-to-peer conversations on Bloomberg. Take a listen.
Would you say by pulling out of the agreement with Iran on nuclear weapons and nuclear materials, we gained a benefit? Because it seems that they have actually begun to develop more nuclear enriched facilities than they had before. So what would you say has been the benefit of pulling out of the agreement that we had with the Iranians?
I'll tell you three things. First, when President Trump came into office, the Iranians were growing their economy at 5, 6, 10% a year. And they were doing so with American wealth that was funneled through European companies that were doing business there, with the famous money that the Americans shipped to them to get the deal done. All of this was creating wealth and capacity for the kleptocrats and the theocrats in charge of the Islamic Republic of Iran. And it was threatening the United States of America and our people. Their capacity to foment terrorism around the world was expanding. That's not the case today. Simply not. They have reduced their ability to underwrite Hezbollah, the Shia militias in Iraq. The work in Syria has now become more costly for them with the Caesar Act, where we put real sanctions on Iranian activity that's taking place there and on the Assad regime. We have diminished their capacity to inflict risk and security threats to people in the United States of America and indeed to people all across the world. One of the core critiques from my time in Congress, David, you'll remember I opposed the JCPOA vehemently when I was a member of Congress as well, was that the Iranians could start up their centrifuges anytime they wanted to. This was a deal where they'd made a promise that they wouldn't, but if they wanted to start their centrifuges up, in a snap they could. And you've seen it. You've seen it. As they now think they may have a president coming to office that will do a deal with them again, they're going to raise their level of activity to threaten. And so that the Europeans and the United States will once again kowtow and enter into a deal with them that presents them with enormous opportunity in America and the Gulf states with real risk. You need look no further than the Gulf states and the Israelis, the people who have to live in close proximity to the Islamic Republic of Iran, to understand that the approach that the Trump administration has taken with respect to Iran was the right one, and that we ought not go back to the policies of the previous years to our time in office.
There was a concern that on the first anniversary of Soleimani's death, that there would be an attack by Iran on some U.S. facilities somewhere. So far, the first anniversary has passed and that hasn't happened. But are you still worried that there will be some retaliatory attack by Iran?
Look, the threat from the Islamic Republic of Iran to make an attack on the United States is something they talk about nearly daily. They tweeted about it again over the weekend. They threatened the president. They've threatened me and other senior leaders of the United States government. They threaten Israel nearly daily. Yes, we're on guard. We're always ready. It's been the case for 4 years. It will be the case so long as I'm the Secretary of State and President Trump is our president. We will be prepared, and we will do the right things to deter them, to prevent them from having the resources to inflict costs. Now, 40 years on, right? 40 years plus, David, this regime's been there threatening Israel and the United States. We've done the right things. We've put America in the right place to convince the Iranians that this is a bad idea. And if they decide to take action, I am very confident that the Trump administration will respond in a way that President Trump talked about and President Trump tweeted about now, I guess, a week or a week and a half ago.
Secretary Mike Pompeo will appear in an upcoming episode of the David Rubenstein Show, peer-to-peer conversations on Bloomberg TV.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quicktake now for insight in an instant.